Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is United Verse Everybody. I am your host Sean, and we are back today with a little bit of a Man United news roundup. Not a ton of news to go over today, but enough to sit and talk about. Obviously, you guys know I always want your opinion and your thoughts and reactions to everything, but like Wednesdays are typically hard. There was enough news I thought I'd at least want to stop by for a little bit today and say how's it going. Apologies for the short notice. Like I said, I wasn't originally maybe even planning to do a United News Roundup today, but thought, what the hell, we'll do it anyway. So I'm glad I did. I'm always glad to stop by and say hey to everyone. So hope everybody is doing well. Just keep in mind too, real quick before we dive in, remember, we are going to be doing a couple of those typical summer videos, those live streams. I do want you guys to get involved. So a week from today, next Tuesday, we'll be doing a keep sell video for just the current squad, minus, of course, the players who have left on a free, but we will be doing a keep sell video. Hopefully, we won't have too many more outgoings before then, but I wanted to make sure I got that in before too many players started getting sold so you guys can have your say. Who knows? Maybe United will watch this and they'll be like, oh, you know what? They have a good point. Let's get rid of that bastard. So keep an eye out for that one. Of course, I will remind you leading up to it, but next Tuesday, afternoonish, 4:30 my time, we will be doing that. So keep an eye out for that. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. I'm sure some of these players are gonna get absolutely slaughtered in that video, but you know what? None of them deserve to stay after this season, bar from like maybe Ahmad, Yoro, Heaven. Everybody else can fuck off. But anyway, that's the plan for next week. Today we're going to dive into some news. We got some Bruno updates, some Cunha updates, and we've got a lot of little things going around and a little bit of a mini scouting report. You guys know I do love the scouting report, so we will throw one of those in as well. So like the video if you haven't yet done so. Please subscribe if you are new. We are on the road to 3K subscribers. We are cruising this week too. We have got so many new members of the United Verse Everybody community as far as subscribers go. If you want to become a full-fledged member, check the details in the channel profile. You get input on scouting reports, input on what if videos, input on questions from a boot. There's even options for you to join in virtually as well if that is something you want to do. Of course, you don't always have to commit to the memberships. You can always throw out a super chat, throw out a super thanks, super tip, whatever you want to do. It all helps the channel, all helps the community. Of course, no obligation. Just some people like to help out in that way, and that's totally fine. Sometimes just want to make sure everybody knows what their options are. And then, of course, go check out the UVE store if you want to do that as well. You can get sweet shirts like this. This is the OG logo, as I call it. This was the first one I put out there. You can see the United Verse Everybody. It is legit. It does fit like a dream, so check that out. Let me see who is getting involved in the chat before we get started. You guys always know I like to give. Wow, so many people already. Big up, everyone. Wow. Rob, big up. I'm here cooking food and ready to watch. Rob, what are you cooking, man? I'm going to make some broccoli, chicken, macaroni, and cheese later on. That is my plan for this evening. Big up, Danny, as always, my Irish brother from another mother. Big up, man. Rob says, bad news about Cunha. Well, we're going to talk about that because I don't know if I would call it bad news yet, but we'll dive into that. I just want to make sure that we are getting in here. Usman, big up, Usman. Hope you're doing well. As always, good to see you, my friend. Danny says, we love those scouting reports. It seems like you do. Says, like, it was so interesting to me. So I did that scouting video the other day, right? The transfer targets who are also not in Europe, who are also maybe a little lower than us in their respective tables and stuff. Players that I thought that would be good. You guys go check out the video if you haven't yet. So I did that. Usually that kind of stuff doesn't get a ton of hits. For some reason, that one just took off, like literally took off. I think it's got over like 1,000 views now. People are really digging it. I'm thrilled to death. You guys know I love doing the scouting reports. As Danny says, some of you really enjoy that kind of thing. I really like it. You guys know it's something that I'm really interested in. So it's always fun to put those out there. And if there's any point where you guys learn about like a player that maybe you haven't heard of and you start getting like, that's always my goal. I love it when I look at players and then like other people start picking them up. Like I'm going to take it as a point of pride that I was talking about Yashari months before we were linked to him. Like I'm going to give myself credit if we sign Yashari, and I think I should get hired by United. But I do love doing those. So we'll do one of those today as well. Jules, big up. Been a minute, man. I hope you are doing well, as always. Patrick, getting involved Love it, love it, love it. Good to see all the familiar faces. Dana says, nice, keep them coming, pal. Well, if you guys keep watching them, I will keep writing them. You guys, that's just something I've always done. Like, I'll just sit around, look up FootMob, look at SofaScore, look at FBref, and just find players, and then I'll start following them along as they're playing, similar to Yashari. And then as I watch them more and more, I start like pairing the eye test with what I've seen from numbers. And then if the numbers are consistent, then I'm like, all right, we've got ourselves a little bit of a player here. Let me just add him to my list. And we'll go from there. So that's just how that works. And sometimes the players work out, sometimes they don't. It is what it is. But Patrick says, love seeing this community grow. And, big up all you absolute legends, too. You guys are the ones that are getting here. I'm just here to throw out the topics and facilitate the conversation. Really, it's you guys that are doing it. You guys are liking those videos. You're watching them. You're subscribing. You're sharing. You're doing everything you can. And I appreciate that. I love getting more and more people involved. So big up, everybody. Glad to see everybody getting involved in the chat. Get involved in that poll that I've got pinned up there, too. I want to know your thoughts on that because we're going to be talking about that in a couple minutes. So let's kick things off with an update on United's pursuit of Mateusz Cunha. So yesterday we reported that things regarding Mateusz Cunha look pretty much done and dusted. He reportedly has said yes to the deal even before the UEL final. He wanted to come to United. That number 10 shirt's waiting. We were going to pay the release clause. So aside from a couple of T's needing to be crossed, a couple of I's needing to be dotted, it sounds like that one's done and dusted. Not quite yet. Things are never really smooth with United, are they? Granted, things are never really smooth in transfer windows. So, the report was 6 to $2.5 million release clause. We were going to throw down a little more than 20 up front, expected to be paid in full by 2027. That didn't seem like it was anything big deal. Until this afternoon, David Ornstein put out a little bit of an update. So what did David Ornstein have to say today? So David Ornstein has said, Man United make contact with Wolves to submit opening offer with Mateusz Cunha. Remember, personal terms was everything was fine. The next step was us reaching out to do that, to structure the deal, basically. He continues, United asking to pay $62.5 million release clause over 5 years, but Wolves expect 2 years as stated in the contract. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. Now, personal terms already agreed. 26-year-old, I think it was his birthday like yesterday or today. Move expected to happen. So Ornstein does say the move is expected to happen, but he also says, we're still trying to come to an understanding between Wolves. We want to spread it over 5 years. They want it in 2 years. Now, with release clauses, it's a little tricky. Normally, you have to pay it all in front. It's up to the selling club to decide if they even want to entertain the idea of structuring or amortizing that. So it sounds like they're open to it, but they want it paid in a couple of years. We want it paid over 5 years. What that means is, instead of paying, 20 something now and like 40 something next by 2027, we want to pay like 20 something now, maybe like 10, 10, 10, 10. Like basically we don't want to have to pay as much. What that's going to do is it's going to give us more money each year in that transfer window. Wolves want more money on their end. And this is basically how transfers work. This is how deals work behind the scenes. Both sides are trying to get the best deal for them. They're like, it's not in Wolves' interest to help us out. It's not in our interest to help. Well, we want to do what's best for us. We have our own financial things. Wolves obviously did not have a great season. They're going to be struggling a bit. They're probably going to be losing a couple players. They don't want to have to lose as many players, similar to like Everton, right? Remember when Everton sold Onana, they asked for a big price. Everton were going to have to sell players. They did not want to have to sell Onana and Branthwaite. Now, if they can get a bunch for one player and keep another one, that Crystal Palace did the same thing with Olise, right? Eze, Gueye, Olise are all rumored to go. They sold Olise. This is how it works. This is very normal in terms of transfers. Everyone's trying to look out for themselves. I get it. Now, it'll probably get done, as Ornstein says, expected to go on. It's just we're probably going to have to pay a little bit more, or probably going to have to pay it all a little sooner than we wanted to. Wolves might concede by like a year or two. Maybe we pay it in like 4 years instead of 5, or maybe we pay it in 3 years. 2 to 3 years is probably going to happen, unless maybe we pay a little bit more up front or a little more add-ons. Maybe that'll make them a little bit more amenable to what we can work with. But I don't think we're going to lose out. But it's just we might not get it as soon as maybe we thought we would, because there's always just a little bit of a spanner in the works, aren't there? Let me see here. Rob says, love the scouting reports. Got my EAFC scouts on them. Nice, man. That's awesome. Jules says Wolves might accept the longer term payment for a few extra quid. Yeah, and that's what came out, like, was it last week, the week before that? It was like we were going to trigger that release clause, and then the report was like 5 million in add-ons, and that sometimes is what incentivizes Wolves to be a little bit more open to a structured payment as opposed to paying it all up front. Again, this is how this stuff works. And this is really where someone who's a good director of football, good people in charge of negotiations, this is what can make the difference between PSR struggles like where we are now and a club that's just got their shit together. Someone who's just, they go in, they know what they want, they stick to their guns, and they move on. We've gotten our pants pulled down over the years. We've had idiots in charge of these decisions. We had people show up to meet with players and they didn't even know who the player was. Achraf Hakimi. Our negotiator had no idea who Achraf Hakimi was. Like, these are the people that were making the decisions. These are the people that are giving Anthony $200K a week. These are the people who are okaying a deal for Anthony and stuff. It sounds like I'm picking on Anthony. I'm not. It's just the biggest glaring example. The Casemiro contract, for instance, not a good deal by any stretch of the term whenever you were looking at it. Not trying to insult Casemiro. That long of a contract, that many wages for a player who is that old is just not smart any way you slice it. So, but this is why we are where we are with PSR, is because of those kinds of deals. We've not sold players because we pay them too much, because we misidentify talent and we're stuck with him. Dan James was the last player that we've bought and then sold for profit. Other than that, it's, I think, Ronaldo before him, and then just academy players like Dean Henderson, Scott McTominay, Campbell, and whatnot. Most of the time, these players leave for free, or we lose them for a loss. So, but we'll see what happens. I don't think this one's dead in the water by any stretch. It's just, it might not happen overnight, and it might not happen the way we for sure want it, but it will happen, I think. Stephanie Griffith, welcome. Big up, everybody. A few familiar names in the chat. Yes, it's nice to see everybody kind of stopping by, getting their thoughts in. Don't forget to get involved in that poll. I want to know your thoughts, because that is what we're talking about next. Rob said, Wolves might be cautious due to our huge debts. I mean, that's what I don't get. Like, we're contractually obligated. We signed the contract. I mean, we can't just like back out of it. We can't just go into like debt or something, like write him an IOU. Like, it's how amortization works. I mean, we were still required to get some Lukaku money for the longest time from Inter. But I hear what you're saying. They're like, hey, we know your situation financially. We want to make sure that we're not, we're getting our money. So I hear it. They're going to, again, they want what's in their best interest. They want more money up front. Most clubs will do that. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get that one done. Let's see what everybody's got saying there. Danny B says, Sean, you have to mod Stephanie Griffith. She's a mod on the majority. Let me go see what we got going on here. Cool. I will do that. Why not? Welcome. Always glad to see a new face. Always glad to see. I should do this for Jules too while I'm thinking about it. I don't always remember to just look over my other screen, because I do have it like what you guys see open on my other screen. I'm looking at the thing over here. I've got two laptops set up, and one is for streaming and putting all the comments on there, and the other one is for my notes. So that's why I'm never looking at the camera. I'm looking at two different things. So Jules says, how could Woodward, et cetera, think that the owed transfer payments wouldn't catch up to us? Again, I've said it many, many times. These self-proclaimed like businessmen that we've had in charge, these guys that were supposed to be good at their job, they're not good at their job. They just aren't. Every decision they've made has led to this point we're at now, where we're stuck with Sancho's and the Anthony's and the Di Maria situation. Like, anybody and their dog could tell you, Di Maria didn't want to come here. Like, and that is a big deal. You shouldn't have to do that. How many times have we had to pay over the odds in wages just to convince players to come over? And it comes back to bite us. And that doesn't even get started on the rolling contracts for guys like Phil Jones and Anthony Martial, because apparently we had to protect the asset. Like, it's just dumb. Like, it's literally just dumb. We all know why Woodward got his job. It was a straight up, jobs for the boys kind of a situation. So Stephanie, just dude, awesome. Appreciate that, Stephanie. I love seeing the channel grow. Love seeing the community grow. Big up. Thank you, everyone. Danny says Bashali free to Brighton. Yeah, that does. I mean, you guys know I've been talking about Bashali for the majority of the season in terms of center backs. Like, and it's similar to I already forgot his name now. Who was the Turkish fullback that Brighton had? Although we haven't really seen him a whole lot, but remember when he was at Fenerbahce and we were all talking about him and he went to Brighton. Pretty much what happened. Rob says, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Yes, please do. Please do. Let's jump into this Bruno stuff because it is coming down to crunch time for Bruno's offer from Al-Hilal. You remember that the Saudi club gave Bruno until Thursday, so 2 days, to make a decision. We got all these reports today. It's 72 hours. Like, well, yeah, they gave him a week, and that's just how math works. So he's got until Thursday. And it is a pretty big offer. Like, this is a life-changing offer. Now, a lot of people will say he's already getting paid this much. This is literal life-changing money. This is generationally life-changing money. Like, I'm not condoning the idea of like your kids don't have to work, but this is generational life-changing money. $700K a week plus bonuses. It's going to total like $200 million for him over 3 years. That's just insane. Like, that's literally insane. Add to that the $100 million that they've offered us to buy Bruno, and it does seem like a win for everybody, right? Like, that. Why would anybody refuse that? Like, and the only reason that Bruno would refuse is if he just has a little bit more sporting integrity, I guess you could call it. I'm not trying to diss the Saudi league. You guys think whatever you want about the Saudi league, but some players don't rate the Saudi league. I don't rate the Saudi league personally. I mean, I just don't. But I don't speak for everybody. I don't rate the Club World Cup. I think it's an absolute money grab of a tournament. Players are getting paid millions just to go and make an appearance. Like, to me, it just seems like almost like a circus attraction in some ways, but it is what it is. Now, as far as this money that Al-Hilal are offering, this was money that they earmarked for Mo Salah, and he ended up staying in Liverpool. So they moved on to their next target. Now it's reported that if Bruno does refuse, he's going to move. Al-Hilal are going to move on to Tielemans, or they're going to move on to Ederson from Atalanta. That is the rumor. So we'll see what happens. We know that Amorim has been pretty vocal about United's desire to keep Bruno. We don't want to sell him, according to Ruben Amorim, but money talks. Like, I think it would be foolish for a club where we are right now, the season we just had, the season we're about to have, how much of a rebuild we have, the debt, the PSR, all that stuff. I think it would be foolish, almost criminal, for us to completely dismiss that kind of an offer out of hand without at least sitting down. I'm the greedy guy who's going to be like, oh, 100 million, you'll go higher. Let's find someplace higher, and we'll do that. It would be foolish, in my opinion. But we've already kind of done that. You're like, would you sell Bruno? A lot of you say yes, you would sell Bruno. The question, though, is what do you think Bruno will do now that he's got this deadline? So let me look what you guys, it is literally split 50-50. Half of you say he'll go for the money. Other half of you say he will stay for sure. That is interesting that it's so split. Did not expect it to be that split, to be honest with you. Wow. If we don't sell him, again, Al-Hilal could move on, and then we could see Bruno run down his contract. I think his contract goes till 2027, right? That was the latest extension. And so, like a lot of other United players, he could run that down for free and just go there for free. He'll still be a top player in 2 years' time. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Let me gotta scroll back up here. That's who he was. Ferdy. Yep. That's who it was. I forgot his name because I had to force myself to like delete him from my mind once he went to Brighton. But we haven't seen anything from him since he went to Brighton. So Stephanie says, let's hope our medical department do their job and pick up any anomalies and potential signings this time. Our medical department is one of the biggest embarrassments add it to the list in terms of places in like areas in the club that need an overhaul, areas in the club that have cost us, areas in the club that are an embarrassment. Pick it. Like I said, man, it's Dr. Dre, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Seuss. That's our medical department right now, the way we do things. Yeah, Shaw and Malacia will be fit. You can get rid of it, Reguilon. You can get rid of Alvaro. Don't worry about it, Ten Hag. Okay. Oh, by the way, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Like, This is it. The fact that last month or whatever we were talking about having to pay someone to come up with an algorithm to predict injuries, to look at injuries is just, again, just an example. Like I get you want to be best in class, but you don't have to spend money just to say you're doing it. Like I spent 5 minutes on Google and looked at Mason Mount's injury record, looked up the correlation between his injuries, the body parts involved, long-term prognosis, and it could tell you literally after a few minutes, like, no, this dude's always going to be injured. Like, this is not a smart move. But hey, what do I know? I don't have an algorithm. So Jules says, Bashali is going to Brighton. That is the talk, that Brighton have agreed to that deal on a free. That is an excellent signing for them. He's a good age. Was he 26, 27 now? PSV Eindhoven, excellent ball progressor, very, very physical, like ticks all the boxes. And that to me is going to be one that gets away. Of course, he could struggle in the Premier League. We've seen it before, but I don't know if he has everything that I think I'm looking for. But Jules says Ronaldo has insane figures over Saudi. You know what I need to see, Jules, and I want this for every league, especially the leagues like the Saudi League, the MLS. I needed someone to come up with some sort of a conversion algorithm or whatever to like how you make chemistry where you convert different units of measurement or whatever. I need to see that for what are goals in the Saudi League translate to like La Liga or Premier League goals. I need to know what the equivalency is there, because goals in the Saudi League are goals in the Saudi League, and just like goals in the MLS. Messi could be playing until he's 50 in the MLS, and he'll still probably be the best player in the MLS. That's just the way it is. It's not an insult. It's just the golfing class is apparent. That's just the way it is. And so I don't know how much weight I give goals scored in these other leagues. Danny says Brighton know their shit. They do know their shit. And we're going to talk about that shortly. A little spoiler alert for the scouting report. But like, we need to be looking at, like, when it comes to like sporting directors or scouts, like instead of buying players from Brighton, go buy their fucking scouts, go buy their technical director, go buy their head of recruitment, man. Like, let's get some of that money going on. Box, big up, Box. Good to see you. Good to see you, Box. Tielemans is a good player. I liked Tielemans when he was at Leicester. I don't think he doesn't look as good as he, in my opinion, but he's still good, for sure. So yeah, I think wasn't he free? Didn't they get him for free, if I remember correctly? That in itself is a great piece of business, personally. Rob says Ronaldo's left Saudi. Think he'll sign a short-term contract for a club at the Club World Cup. Ugh. Like who though? Like he can sign for a club from Tunisia, because there are clubs from Tunisia in the Club World Cup. Maybe go Australian club. There you go. MLS club. Go do that. And like, these are the clubs that are in the Club World Cup. And then you've got randos in there like Bayern or whatever. And this is why the Club World Cup is just a nothing tournament to me. But Box says he'd keep Bruno 100%. Interesting. Danny says, we should sell him, but I don't think he goes. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And it's not because I don't rate Bruno. I rate Bruno. He's literally the best player on our team. But that money, on top of the 100 mil we're already going to have to work with, on top of the money from the Rashford, the Sancho, the Antony, and whatnot, that could literally set ahead our rebuild by a couple of years, if not. But again, it all comes down to how we spend it. Do you trust Ineos? Do you trust Wilcox, Barada? Do you trust Amorim's talent identification? Do you trust them to spend the money? It's so easy just to blow money. We've done it for a dozen years. Look at when Spurs sold Gareth Bale. They got, 5-6 players, and they got one good one in Christian Eriksen. People go on and on about how much we spent. Yes, we've spent a lot, but we've spent it so poorly. It's beyond sad at this point. It's like you gave a kid $1,000 and expect a 4-year-old and expecting them to go do the grocery shopping. Like, what's he going to come back with? Candy, ice cream, all that shit. He's not going to come back with anything that you need him to get. This is because the people running this club are absolutely incompetent. Buck says Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, Højlund, Zirkzee. Oh, Box is getting rid of Zirkzee. Mount, Casemiro should go. Yeah, I agree with Casemiro to an extent. Danny says Bashali, very similar to Licha. Yeah, I did feature Bashali a couple times. He was in my Licha replacement video after Lisandro Martinez got that ACL injury. I did a whole video on left-sided center back, so go check that one out. Jules has a conversion chart. I would love it if that's where I would spend my money. Like, forget an algorithm for injuries. I need to go see how, like, Rasmus Højlund, how these goals in the Italian league translate to Premier League. And that can be a good predictor. If I was smart, I would do. Math is not my thing. I was that kid who was like, I'll turn in all my homework. I'll probably fail every test in math and I'll get a C. And that's my level, or that's my sweet spot, because math is not that I'm dumb. It could be that I'm dumb. I don't know. Jury's out. It's that it's so boring to me, especially when I was younger. Like, I was like always wanting to go do stuff, wanting to go outside, wanting to go kick a ball around, wanting to draw, wanting to do this. Math, science, so boring. Like, it always was. Box says Ronaldo outscored Tony, Mitrovic, Mane, Firmino, Benzema, Duran. Yeah, Ronaldo's good, but the fact that he's 40 and he's scoring these goals in the Saudi league is, again, it's a damning like example of the Saudi league's quality, in my opinion. Jules says we went and got Dan Ashworth, and Jim didn't like what he had to tell him. Hey, I mean, it's a hard line to walk, right? As owner, like, you buy these people because you value what they do, you value their experience, you trust that you put, but then, like, they also need to learn how to go along sometimes. So where's that fine line between, hey, this is the plan, jump on board, versus, okay, I respect your opinion because of who you are. There's a reason we brought you in. Like, where does that fine? Again, we might not ever know the full 100% details to the Ashworth situation. All we know is that it made us look idiots in the long run. It's freaking annoying. Box says, I don't trust any of them, to be honest. Not sure I trust Qatar as well. Yeah, I don't. You can't really trust anyone as far as owners go. Richard says, my worry is that they sell him. I don't think they will reinvest the money in the team. Well, where would they put it then? Because Ineos aren't going to pocket the money. The Glazers would have probably pocketed that money, but Ineos are not doing that right now. I mean, they probably will maybe take some of it for the stadium because we're paying for the stadium. We're not getting any assistance for that, but I don't know. It just depends. Do you trust them to do it? Rich, big up, Rich. Game over for Garnacho, it seems. Yeah, I think that the writing's on the wall for Garnacho. People are like, it's so funny too, because, like, there are people who, like, we're going to talk about this Garnacho thing in a second here, but, like, because I want to know your thoughts. Let me see what you guys are saying about this Bruno stuff real here. It's still, like, almost pretty close. Most of you are saying he'll go for the money. So I'm going to cut the poll there. Let me do another one real quick here and get out another poll for you guys real quick on this one. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button for me too. And then subscribe if you're new. Sorry, I'm just making sure I put this poll out here. And then we'll get back to it. All right, I'm going to put that out there real quick so we can get some thoughts in before we get to that point. So, as far as Bruno is concerned, that money, again, could really push our rebuild ahead by a year or two if it's spent well. But it's all about whether or not you trust Ineos to spend that money. We could very easily blow that money, like, so fast, like a 21-year-old at his first trip to the casino. It could be gone like that, and we'll never ever know where it went. Or we could really, that could be a lot of excellent players that lifts the floor of our squad. For too long, we've been trying to raise, like, the ceiling in terms of this one player, this one $80 million player that will be the difference maker, or this one manager that will be the difference maker. Too long we've been buying instead of building, and that's why we are where we are. We need to build, and a properly done rebuild. Look at Arsenal, look at Liverpool, look at these teams that are sticking by a manager, who are trying to rebuild properly. It will take time. It may not bear fruit right away. Klopp got to a Europa League final his first season at Liverpool, lost the Europa League final. They cleared out 6 or 7 players that summer. They brought in guys like Wijnaldum and whatnot. That's a rebuild. It's going to take time, and you have to prioritize, and you have to be patient. Some of the players that come in at the start of the rebuild might not even be here when we start to see it win, but they've helped us along the way, and that's important as well. So the question is, does Bruno offer enough value on and off the pitch to maybe say you want to refuse the sale, or do you trust Ineos and Amorim to do that well and kind of make up what Bruno offers in the aggregate with a couple of different players? There aren't really a whole lot of direct replacements as far as I can tell. There are players maybe who come close, like a Reinders or a Vitinha, maybe from that deep lying role. There are players in the the final phase of attack that come close, like Cherky and stuff, but not one player who I think like you couldn't take Cherky, put him in a deep role, and you couldn't take like Reinders and put him in a number 10 role, whereas you could do that with Bruno. And so we'll see. We'll see what you guys had to say. I mean, Thursday is coming close, so let's talk about Garnacho. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Big up, you guys. Rich is already spending the Bruno money in my head. Well, you guys know I've done budget rebuild videos. I've looked at players just the other day, did a whole video on players who also maybe aren't in Europe. Now, this was before the DFB Pokal, so you can probably disregard Angelo Stiller because they won the Pokal, so they're in Europe. But there are tons of players on there who aren't in Europe who I think would be excellent pickups. Box says at least Garnacho, Antony has interest. The has-beens like Rashford will be hard to move. And this is the problem with personality issues. Now, Garnacho has had so many issues. Remember, Ten Hag's very first summer preseason, Garnacho was already getting in trouble. Bruno came out and was like, yeah, he had some issues. It's all behind us. We got it. And Garnacho has literally never learned. He got dropped altogether from the squad for the Derby in December, along with Rashford. He's had so many of these social media gaffes. And then obviously this latest one after the final is just, and that's the thing, like Garnacho didn't have to say anything. Even if his brother said something, that's fine. You can be like, well, he's my brother. I can't control what he does. I'll talk to him. But you didn't have to come out and say anything because now much of this focus is now on you. You're catching all these strays, and it is what it is. And it doesn't help us either because now it's kind of forcing our hand. But we got this claim from Nathan Salt today regarding Ruben Amorim's exact words following this team meeting that we had. So remember, we discussed this claim that not only did Amorim kind of tell the squad reportedly that he's here next year, he's in charge, like that's not changing. But apparently he told Garnacho to go find a new club. Now, the exact wording, now again, if true, we don't know. This is coming from Nathan Salt, so anyone's guess. But his exact message to Alejandro Garnacho, reportedly in front of the entire squad, was you better pray that you can find a club to sign you. What do you guys think about that? Too harsh? Is it uncalled for? Is anyone calling him a bully like they called Ten Hag a bully? Is anyone saying, no, it's fine, it's behind closed doors? There shouldn't be any, no one's above reproach. Anyone should be able to take criticism in front of the team. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Like, if what you do hurts the team, then you should be able to face it in front of the team. Some people feel that way too. Did Garnacho deserve it? Were his comments, warranted? I think he definitely needs to go, but was that too harsh? What are you guys saying so far in the chat? So 2/3 of you basically say, no, it wasn't too harsh. And 1/3 of you say they were. Let me see if you guys are. Richard Hawkins says Ineos are 11 billion in debt. I don't know any billionaires who aren't in debt. Stephanie says 11 likes, 20 watching. Yes, keep it going. Keep it going. Danny does not trust. And Danny, I don't think I've heard you say one positive thing. I would challenge you at some point, and I'm not trying to change your mind or anything, but I would challenge you just to know of my own curiosity if you had anything positive to say about Ineos at any point. Does anybody have anything positive to say? There hasn't been a whole lot of positives this season from Ineos, but Sanjay caught a live show. Big up, Sanjay. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Box says, Bruno and Garnacho have combined 60 goals and assists, so getting Cunha and Buemo merely replaces that. We need 3 or 4 on top of that to improve on the 16th player. It really, in theory, it shouldn't take much to improve upon 16th, right? Like, it shouldn't. This season, I don't know what happened this season. Like I said, I didn't watch the Villa match live. I watched the replay, and I'm still fuming about that. Like, still fuming that they can show up and we can have such a tremendous game on the final game of the season in the league, and we couldn't even do that 3 days prior. Like, it's so annoying. If I start talking about it, I'm just going to get mad. I'm just going to make myself mad. Sanjay says, I think we should let Bruno go. Well, let me know why. Let me know what's going on. Box says, who is Nathan Salt? A Garnacho friend. Is he serious? I mean, he's a journalist. I actually said hi to him real quick when Justin and I were there. So we were there for that Brighton match, and our seat was literally in the aisle directly next to where all the journalists sit. So like Jamie Jackson, everybody was there. So that was kind of cool. I have talked to Jamie Jackson before. He's a pretty nice guy. Casper, Unfinished Business, welcome. Good evening. I heard from Amorim not to expect much. We need 7, 8 players. Yeah, we did talk about that yesterday. That he did kind of throw out that party line that we've heard that we we still have PSR to work with. FFP is what he named, so we still have that to work with. So he's probably been told, because I'm not sure Amorim is privy to the exact ins and outs of the financials. That's something for the higher ups, but he's probably been told, like, this is what the situation is. This is what we have to work with. We need to sell some players, and I would also challenge Amorim to maybe get a little more from some of these players. His team selection has been iffy, especially in that final, and so I do think he has room to improve there. That's a nice way of putting that. His team selection has been shit a lot, but Danny says, I could probably guess one thing. Burger Shaw probably leaked it. Well, I do feel like Dean Henderson was a leak. I don't know who is the journalist who's been backing Henderson like left and right, who's never said a bad word, and then and then if you look back at some of the Henderson stories from when he was still here, that same journalist was connected to a lot of them. I'm not trying to go hard on it and say it, but sometimes I get that feeling. Richard says, I'm waiting on Eric Ten Hag to get a bid for Sancho. Can we get him to bid for Onana and Anthony, please? Can we just get some of those guys out of here? That would be amazing. Abel says, Amorim changed the tactic. So what Amorim has been doing with these players, it's not just simply about a 3-4-2-1. It's not just simply about, hey, wingbacks playing like this. He's literally been trying to change the way our squad sees the game, how they play the game mentally. And that is a longer, more in-depth process than simply saying, hey, we're going to play counterattack. Hey, we're going to do this. Hey, keep the ball on the ground. Play it. Like, it's just, Amorim is way more of a Pep Guardiola regen than he is like anybody else. He's very, very precise, very, very tactical. And so some of these flair kind of wing players like the Rashfords, like the Garnachos, they might struggle a bit under Amorim because of just the way he wants his team to play. I don't think it's going to be as strict as a Pep Guardiola system where he's like, yeah, that square inch of grass, stand right there when this happens. I don't think he's like that. It's just about how to see the game, how to play the game mentally first. Robert Reed, big up. Bruno and Garnacho going for 260 big. I don't know where you're getting 260 from. That would be amazing, but welcome. Big up. Good to see some new faces in here today. Let me see. Rob likes Ineos. Rob and Danny are about to. I like Ineos. They're being ruthless in cleaning up 20 years of mess and decline. Well, they have been ruthless. I think a lot of the staff and whatnot, and like the stewards and things like that, they've caught a little bit of those strays, kind of like the blast radius of that kind of ruthlessness. So I do think some of that. I get the decisions. I understand why it's happening. I still don't like it. I still would challenge Ineos to maybe come up with a little bit more creative, proactive, even ways to figure that out, rather than just simply starting with let's fire some people and then we'll figure it out as we're doing that. That'll give us some breathing room. Like, I feel like it doesn't send a good message because the morale is really at an all-time low, and that you have to think that that's going to be a factor when new players are looking at the situation. Literally, this whole season has been nothing but negativity from a PR, optics, performance, results, everything. Like, we can sit here and celebrate like the second leg against Lyon and whatnot, but it doesn't mean anything because we didn't win and we played like shit in the final. That's why I'm not doing an award show this summer, because had we won the final, maybe, but can anyone honestly tell me that anybody deserves a reward? Do you want to give an award for best goal, best moment, player of the season? I don't. I didn't even think anybody in the first team deserved an award, let alone a fucking dinner for it. That's embarrassing. Like, read the room, y'all. Justin, pick up Justin. Justin and I kicked the ball around for like 2 hours yesterday. I'm still sunburned from that. But pick up, man. Hope you're having a good day. Sanjay, Bruno's a very good player, but he's getting old. And that's the thing. I can maybe entertain the idea of Bruno sticking around for like a year and then maybe leaving in another year. But at that point, he's only going to have like a year left on his contract or something. Because you can't build around Bruno. You can't build around a 30, 31-year-old. It's just not possible. But he is the best player we have, and it is difficult to replace him. So it's about priorities. And again, it's going to be about Bruno. If he's got an offer and he forces his move, I mean, we don't want someone who doesn't want to be here, right? So Casper says, I like Alejandro Garnacho, but he's gone. I'll send him to Napoli. Yeah, Napoli, right? Could be where he goes. I mean, Let me see what you guys are saying on this poll, because this was crazy. Were his comments too harsh? So still majority you were saying no. I'll leave it up for a little bit longer while we discuss it. Abel said Gibbs White, best player. Yeah, I like Gibbs White. I don't know if I'd still take Cherky over Gibbs White. I think Cherky's better, and obviously he's going to be cheaper. Danny throwing out the love. Big up. Yeah, you guys know that Justin had a baby a couple weeks back. And obviously that automatically means that he's not sleeping. So there it is what it is. I'm surprised he was able to show up. And Justin's I got to tell you guys, Justin's shot is so powerful. And Justin won't mind me saying, he's not like the biggest dude, right? Justin's he's very good footwork, but his trivela, like his outside of the foot shot, is a thing of beauty. He gets so much power on his shots. He gets so good height and perfect placement. I've played keeper against Justin just when I still have some pain in my thumb from a while back when he got me in the thumb. Justin's got a rifle on him, like Tony Cruz level. DJ says, I was too harsh. I think it will trickle down to other players like Manu when they get benched and we lose. Well, that's part of the mentality thing. And we're gonna have to get to a point like City when they've got a big squad. These players are gonna know they are gonna play, but they're not always gonna start. And that's part of it. For too long, we've had a starting 11 that's technically good, maybe mentally and physically not good, but we haven't really had a whole lot of depth. We are going to need depth. So Casper says, and Højlund to Juventus on loan. If we can get a loan to buy option for Højlund, that would probably be ideal. Because right now his value is probably going to be super low. Not many people are going to want to buy him. I think of all the players that we recently purchased, he's probably one of the first on the list because he's been here 2 years. And we know that Barada has that 2 year kind of policy. So Robert Reed says 200 million for Bruno. I figure 50 to 60 for Garnacho. Yeah, we'll see. 200 million for Bruno. I don't know. Who said 200 million? No, 200 million is that's what Bruno is going to make in wages over 3 years under that Saudi contract. Now, we would get 100 million for him, but the wage package that he's getting, the 700K a week plus bonuses, equals 200 million over the 3 year contract for Bruno. That's where that 200 million came from. Rob says they got rid of the 70-year-old sprint coach. What the hell is a 70-year-old going to teach? I'm just joking. I'm joking. Sorry. Box says even the ladies team flop. I mean, that was going to be a tough ask anyway. Chelsea are on fire this season. Didn't they win the league too? They were going for a treble, I thought, as well. I think that Chelsea team is a big ask. Obviously, we won the final last year. It was against Spurs. This year, Chelsea is just very, very good. I mean, they were just better on the day. Fair play to them. Let me see what everyone's saying. Box says, United has so many leaks. It's pathetic. Dirty washing always aired in public. Yeah, I mean, somebody leaked it, if that's what was really said. Seems like if Nathan Salt's got connections or if he's heard it from somebody, I don't know, but it sounds like, maybe that's maybe an agent's putting it out there just to kind of force the move, maybe getting a little bit of sympathy for Garnacho. I don't know. We've seen that kind of shit happen before. Danny, yeah, on my next point, Churkgate is City, Sean, looking favorites. Yeah. So City are the latest club to be linked with Rayon Cherki, and that's coming from Fabrizio Romano. And of course, a lot of United fans are going to be in an uproar. I was wondering what was going to happen with Cherki when Liverpool seemed like they were going to get this Florian Wirtz deal over the line. Does that mean we get a free run? I don't know. Again, City have been linked, and so have we. So it's not. I mean, it's literally the same thing that's been said about us regarding Cherki. We're interested. We're monitoring the situation. We've been asked for details. Literally the same thing that's said about us. So I wouldn't get into an uproar quite. Obviously, City are going to have to replace some players that are linked with Tijani Reinders. Obviously, linked with Cherki, linked with Ait Nori yesterday as well. So I really don't understand what City. I don't know what this means for City's charges. I just don't get how they can just keep doing this shit. This is embarrassing, but Boxes, Cherki 20 million. City obviously can't compete with big bids anymore for 150 million. City just spent like 200 million in January, so I'm not sure where they're getting all this money from. But I think they're just trying to collect as many players as they can because I think they're going to be losing some players, and I think maybe they'll get a ban. I don't know, but it could go either way. Maybe they just don't care. Richard says, if Bruno does not want to go to Saudi, I will volunteer to go in his place. I've never been to Saudi. Has anyone been? Is it nice? Well, I've done that before on the channel. That's embarrassing. I'm an adult. I can spill water if I want to. Stephanie says, I'm not interested in player stats. Only stat that should matter next season is number of Premier League points and team goals. Need 75 plus in both those areas. No, I hear you. I mean, the stats and the numbers and the percentiles, and that's a big factor in, which player we look at, which player we buy, what were the traits we're looking for, the measurable stats, and what that suits. If we're looking for players who are good on, set pieces, obviously the aerials are going to matter. Touches in the opposition box, those are going to matter. So, but I hear you. It's at the end of the day, none of that matters. Again, doesn't matter to me how many goals and assists Bruno or Garnacho have, because at the end of the season, we didn't do anything of note, like, at all. And that final was an absolute shambles. Like, the players should be ashamed of themselves. Casper says, I'm still a fan of Højlund. Wouldn't sell him, but I wouldn't sell him but backup striker. Yeah, no, we've said that really since we've signed him, that he really should not have been our starting number 9. There's no reason a 20-year-old in his first season in the Premier League should have been our only striker. And the plan was, if you remember that summer, was to get another striker. I think we were going for Harry Kane, but that was too expensive. So it was a bit unfair on Højlund. Surprisingly, he did have a very good first season, all things considered, contextually speaking. But this season, it's been shit. I think we haven't helped him with the way we've played him in some ways, but at the end of the day, some of the shit he's just not good at, some of the shit he's regressed at, and some of the sitters that he missed are just unforgivable. But he did get Emi Martinez sent off the other day, so I'll take that. Rob says, Tricky better make sure he has a relegation release clause in his contract. Yeah, did you guys ever think we would get to that point where we would have to make jokes about that? I mean, remember when we thought 21-22 was the worst it could get? Yikes. 24-25 said, hold my beer, I got this. Fox says Jordan Henderson didn't like Saudi much. Yeah, I think that he was just getting so much crap, and then that was like your brand. Does Jordan Henderson have a brand? I don't know. He's just, yeah, maybe not, but he had to kind of figure that up. Casper says, love the content. Big up, man. I'm glad I'm getting comments read here. It's hard on some big fan channels to get comments here. Well, that is my point. I do, the channel is still growing. It's still pretty small. I've only been doing it for like a year. So while it is small, it will be easier to read as much comments. As it grows, though, I will say, like I said yesterday, if it does grow, if more people are getting into it, it will take a very long time to read all the comments. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But that was the whole point from the get-go, Casper, was to just, I'm here to hear your guys' opinion. I know my opinions. No one wants to sit here and watch me talk for an hour. I want to have a conversation. How I talk to you guys is how I talk to Justin, how I talk to Dylan, how I talk to everybody, Bill, off camera too. So if you could listen in to me and Justin on the phone for like an hour when I call him, like, this is literally the same conversation. So Richard says Rasmus should never been our main striker. No, true. No, and I've been saying that. Now, it doesn't excuse the shit performances. Just like Garnacho. Like, Garnacho should not be starting as a teenager week in, week out. We just haven't had adequate competition for Garnacho, and that's been our failing as far as that concerned. But at the same time, some of his decision-making on and off the pitch, Garnacho have also not helped himself either. So it is what it is. Stephanie, great channel, she says. Glad I found it. Well, I'm glad you found it too. I'm glad to have more people. I remember you from a couple other chats and some other channels as well. So big up. Glad you are here. Whew, that was a lot. I'm glad I got through all those. Let's take a little bit of a breather. We'll shift gears and let's do the scout report, shall we? Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to have a say-so in some of the scouting reports and whatnot, check the memberships. The details are in there. Let's jump on in. So let's look at a young player, 20-year-old center midfielder, left-footed, big guy, 6'2", doing great right now. And his name is Ngael Macau. Excellent young midfielder. Plays for Lille. They basically, not immediately, but you can kind of look at him as the replacement for Baleba. Remember, Baleba went from Lille to Brighton. So this guy he can play as an 8, he can play as a 6. So he can play in the double pivot, or he can play as if he plays as an 8, he's usually on the right-hand side. I've even seen him played almost like in David Beckham kind of wide midfield role as well. But the kid is an absolute warrior. He fights for everything. His aerial duels are excellent. Good interceptions, good tackling. He's aggressive. He's just wants to get that ball back. He wants to win it. He's physical, which we need more of in the side. He's got great ball retention. He's really press resistant, and he's just stamina. He runs for days. And what you see from him, aside from the physical stuff, is that because he's so good on the ball and because of the position he plays, he's an excellent link between building out from the back and getting the ball to the attack. That rhymes. I did not plan that. Which we need more of. We need ball retention. We need ball progression. We have a lot of players who just don't have it in them mentally, physically even, to excel in those 1v1s. Like I said, he basically replaced Baleba at Lille, and he's looked every bit the part. He's still just 20, but he's having a really good season. But the reason I look at this is partly because he's an excellent player, partly because a lot of you like Baleba a lot, but partly because of what we need to start doing as a club. How we get a handle on our finances, how we uncover these gems, how we start rebuilding the right way, and maybe in the future making a ton of money, is to identify players like this, identify the Caicedos, the Julian Alvarezes, the Balebas, before clubs like Dortmund or PSV Eindhoven or Brighton buy them, or Benfica, and then we have to turn around and pay 80 to 100 million for them. Like, we could have got Caicedo for peanuts if we'd listened to Ralph Ragnick, and then Chelsea had to turn around and spend 100. We need to get ahead of that, and we need to be the Benfica, the Brighton, to say we're identifying these players. They're going to be worth 100 million in a couple of years. We need to get them now. Get them before they go to those clubs. Integrate them into the matchday squad. Loan them out if you need to, but work on that. It's just doesn't make sense to me the way that we've been doing things. His pass completion is stellar, top 17%. Above average for his carries, his take-ons, his progressive passes received, again, getting in those advanced positions. Pretty average when it comes to tackles, interceptions. Again, 50 percentile. That's not bad. That just means you're average. That's just you're same as everyone else, basically. And then his aerial duels, he's in the 60th percentile. So again, for a 20-year-old first season in that league, that's a big deal. That's what I look at too. You look at how old these players are when they're having these numbers, and that to me says a lot as well. Let's see. Let me get him off the screen for you guys so I can see what's going on here. Danny says, haven't watched much of him. Is he similar to Kamara at Monaco? You're talking about Lamine. Lamine is a little bit more of a playmaker, in my opinion. He's a little bit more of a deep line playmaker. This guy is he's gonna win the ball, and he's gonna find somebody else. He can carry it though too. So I like Kamara a lot. He's a really good player. Is Bouhaddi better? I haven't seen enough of Bouhaddi personally, but I think at this point, I think Bouhaddi's better just because he's been doing it a little longer. But this is his first season at Lille, Macau. So I think that we need to see. I'd like to see another season. You guys know I don't always like to go hard on one good season. Bach says, how much would Yashari and Stiller? Well, Stiller is probably going to be a bit pricey because a lot of big clubs are looking at him. Real Madrid, Liverpool want him. They are in Europe. I think Stiller might be a pipe dream. I think Stiller is exactly the kind of player we need. But Yashari is probably going to be like maybe 30-ish, give or take, 35 tops, because they just renewed. He's only been at Club Brugge a little bit, but they already renewed his contract. So because they know how good he is, and he's already getting interest. So Yashari is going to cost a lot. You guys know I love Yashari. Danny says, probably more developed than Bouhaddi, but Bouhaddi has a high ceiling. Yeah. You never know with the young players, but Macau, somebody mentioned Macau a while back, and he was on my list, but I thought maybe it's time to take a look at him again and see how he's doing. Like Danny says, Yashari 35-40, Stiller heading Real, I think he has a release clause. Yeah. But Stiller was always going to be dependent on them winning the Pokal, and they won. So Box says, Yashari worth buying for that price. Now you're speaking my language, Box. Casper says, I love Bruno. I'm glad we signed him. Been here 5 years now. I'd cash in on him now and like Cunha, Delap, and Buemo. Yeah, Bruno, it might be time for Bruno, not because he's bad, not because we don't like him. Just that's what that money could do for us. And the fact that you can't really build around a 31-year-old. I mean, it is what it is. It's just on how we spend it. Box says, from what you've seen from Sekou Kone, do you think he'll make it? I think that when he gets a little bit of a growth spurt, because he is a little smaller, but when you watch him play for the academy, and he is like the star, not like he's the best player, but he's the player he's buzzing around. He's not giving the opposition a second on the ball. He wants the ball. He's quick. He's like a little mosquito with these. You can't get rid of him. He wants to win the ball. Now he does hold on to it a little too much. So we conceded a goal last month because he was holding on to it a little too much in his own kind of third, and he lost it, and it led to a little bit of a counterattack. So, but he's young, and so I think he just, like, those kind of things are going to come with experience and age. If he gets a little bigger, I think he'll have a better chance because he is a little smaller, but we'll see. But I do like Kone a lot from what I've seen. Rob says, will people take Angel Gomez now that he's on a free? I go back and forth on Angel Gomez. He hasn't played a ton since he kind of basically made it clear he wasn't going to be staying. So you worry about that a little bit. He has had a little bit of injuries as well this year. So, and I struggle. I mean, he'd probably be a 10 in this system because I don't think he's got the physicality to play in that deeper role in the Premier League. But we all love a bit of romance. And so I think some people would want that back. There are people who want Danny Welbeck back. So, Box says, would Gomez shoot the Premier League? Yeah, I mean, is the question, right? Is he got the physicality, the press resistance? Because, like I said, he has played a deeper role at Lille, but it's very different in the French league than it is here. And they play a different formation. In the pivot in this system, he'd be asked to do a lot more, which is why you're seeing Kobbie Mainoo struggle just a little bit now that he has to kind of do a little bit more running and get around the pitch a little more. In a 4-2-3-1, you get a little bit of help. In this system, the midfielders are a lot like the 4-4-2 midfielders where you're expected to do a lot. And so it's not just enough to be like, I'm a 6, I don't have to worry about passing or progression, or I'm an 8, I don't need to drop back and defend. Like, you've got to be able to do it all. And you have to be able to do it for 90 minutes, and you have to be able to do it 3 times a week. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just the way it is now. Oh, no, Box, don't put that out there in the universe. No, I think bridges are burned with Ronaldo. He lost a couple cool points for me with that Piers Morgan bullshit. I know that he lost a couple of cool points for you guys too. It is what it is. Nobody's bigger than the club. I mean, again, similar to what Garnacho said after the final, nothing Ronaldo said in terms of the lack of progress from the club and whatnot. Nothing he said was false, but you can't do what you did. You can't do what you did. You just can't. Like, there are rules against it. There's a reason Roy Keane was sold. And you won't be able to find that interview everywhere. Roy Keane came out on MUTV, blasted his teammates after a match. You can't do that. Doesn't matter if you're the best player at the squad. Doesn't matter if you're right. You can't say it like that. It's just the way it is. So, Casper says, I'm coming around to signing Liam Delap now. Yeah, we spoke about that a little bit. It's anyone's guess, honestly, what's going on with Liam Delap. So many clubs interested. Reportedly, he's going to want to make a decision before this Euros that kick off this weekend, I think. It sounds like we might be trying to spread the thing. I think what Ineos are looking at, obviously there's the Jason Wilcox connection from City. I think what Ineos are looking at him as is, someone that has a higher ceiling, someone who is, English football like experience, and someone maybe who's just, I think they're very similar, Delap and Højlund. I think Højlund excels at some things over Delap, and Delap excels at some things over Højlund. I just think because they're very similar ages too, I think that the things that Delap excels at over Højlund are the kind of things that are better suited to the Premier League, if that makes sense. The ball retention, the physicality. He wins a ton of aerials, Liam Delap. He's very good at kind of winning those long ball aerials and flicking onto a runner. So maybe having Delap, who's able to drop a little deeper, Cunha, Mbeumo, Ahmad, whoever on outside to kind of get on the end of those, maybe that could be a difference maker. I don't know. Does he solve our goal scoring problems? Not at all. Is he probably better than Højlund? I would maybe argue, yeah, but we'll see. He's in his first season in the Premier League. He's basically had the same season as Højlund did in his first season as Premier League. Højlund did it when he was a year younger, though. So it's anyone's guess. You never know, but I worry. If we sold Højlund and we only got Delap, we're still in the same situation. We still need another striker because I don't know if Cheeto's the one I'm going to look at to be the go-to second string option. I would like to see someone who's a little more experienced, but Gyökeres is probably gone. Jonathan David's probably going to Juve. maybe some other ones out there. I listed a couple in my video from the other day. You can go check that out. Some players who might be gettable. They're not in Europe. Maybe we could attract them. They're on there. Rob says Portuguese connection. Carrington now up to Ronaldo standards. Well, I don't think anything is up to Ronaldo standards, and this is what happens when you've got traits of narcissism. So again, nothing I say here is meant to be any sort of professional advice. Some of you know that I'm a mental health professional. Nothing I say is to be taken as professional advice. This is just my opinion. So I have to say that. I've been told that I have to say that. So Casper says, I like Garnacho. It's time to move him on. Yeah, I think so. Box says Shesko, Vlahovic, Ekitike, Keane. I saw some random people talking about Ekitike today. This is why I should put out a list. I mean, again, just because it's my opinion doesn't mean it's like that's the way it is. But like, I don't trust caught offside, mostly because when caught offside says a rumor like today's Ekitike rumors, the source is just according to sources. And so I'm not saying it's wrong. I need a little bit more to go on, or I at least need to hear it like from someone who's got a little bit more credibility in the bank, like an Ornstein, like a Romano, even like a Pletty goal or something. But this is why I don't get into Frikahes anymore, because it's just garbage. That Turkish journal that was coming out with all sorts of Osherman stuff in January. Don't know where that guy came from. Don't know where he went. Gone quiet since then. Yeah, so caught offside. I'm not saying I'll shelve it for now and I'll come back to the Ekitike. But again, Ekitike is another one who's having a decent season by his standards, but his decent season is still like nothing that makes me look at him and go, yep, he's going to drag us over the line. He's the difference maker between lifting a trophy. He's young. He's had a decent season. It's only been like a dozen or so goals or so I'm not going to get it. I need to see someone who's easily putting in like bare minimum, like 20 goals in their league every season for a couple seasons before I'm like, yep, they can do it. So Stephanie says, Delap favors a return back to the Northwest as well. I heard he could be a modern day Alan Smith. Ex Leeds in a few years, minus the injuries. Yeah, if Hoyland stays, do you guys like Hoyland and Delap as our options with Cheeto kind of coming in? Of course, Xerxes can also fill in there if needed to. I always forget Xerxes there. Maybe if we sell sell Hoyland, Xerxes, Delap, Cheeto, would you guys be comfortable with that? It's nice that Xerxes can play kind of in a striker, kind of in a 10. Even when he plays in a striker role, he still kind of can drop deep and kind of adapt a little bit. Box says Sorloth, not quite a few goals for Atletico as a bench player. Yeah, Sorloth was on my list a couple years back before he moved to Atletico. I really like Sorloth. 20 in La Liga. Yeah. Who was the other one? Dovbyk. Where did Dovbyk end up going? He was a big deal last year. Wasn't he at Girona or was it Genoa? I get the two confused sometimes, Girona and Genoa. Danny says, Eamon, probably the best attacker in Asia. Danny, usually you're the South American scout, and now you're going all the way to Asia. Eamon. Hopefully we see him play against us tomorrow. Yes, that is tomorrow. We kick off our Malaysian tour tomorrow with a friendly against Asian All-Stars. And I think it's in Kuala Lumpur. Is that where it's going on? Kickoff, it's 8:45 in the morning for me. I don't know what that is for you guys. It is on MUTV if anybody does care about these things. But I can't bring myself to watch a lot of these because I hate friendlies. You guys know I hate friendlies, especially mid-season friendlies, because I don't want injuries. I don't like this. I can't stand the friendlies, but I get it. We have to build the fan base. We have to appeal to the global audience, find global sponsors. I get it. That's part of the reason this Armstrong guy is here that we got from PSG to expand our kind of global partnership revenue and bring in the new revenue streams from sponsors and part. I get it. It's part of it. I get it. I care more about the players, more about success on the pitch, and that means avoiding unnecessary injury risk. Richard jumping in says this is coming from the BBC. The reason Cunha is not signed yet. United wanted to change the terms, paid over 5 years. They have now went back after Wolves said no and agreed to do. Yeah, we were talking about that a little earlier to kick off the show. Just a little bit, that little update popped up earlier before we went live. But yeah, thanks. So they agreed to the deal. Has that been the latest update? Let me go check real quick while we're live because that's how we roll out here. So Romano, no doubt since Sunday night, Matheus Cunha will be Manchester United player from Wolves. Let me see. I'll put it up on this screen for you guys. Hold on one second. So you guys can see what I'm looking at. Let me just scroll it on down here. All right. There we go. Let's all get on the same page here, shall we? So, this is Romano. No doubt since Sunday night, Matheus Cunha will be Manchester United player from Wolves. $62.5 million release clause paid in installments. This was just like 10 minutes ago, by the way. Verbal agreement done on Sunday and to be formally signed next week, as always planned. Here we go, confirmed. So Romano just kind of letting everybody know, hey, saw a lot of this stuff. The particulars are getting sorted out, but it will happen. It will be done. So let it be written. Big up anyone who recognizes that quote. It's one of my favorite movies. I watch it every Easter. If you can let me know in the chat, go for it. Big up. Kudo points to you. Casper says, I'd sell Onana, but I don't think Amorim wants to do it. Dude, if Amorim, that almost like is a little bit of exaggeration here. But if Amorim wants, if it's one thing to be like, okay, keeper isn't a priority, whatever. It's one thing to rate Onana entirely. Like, I don't rate Onana at all. He is a net negative. He's got to be one of the worst keepers I've ever seen. I could take Justin's little 3-year-old, sit him in front of goal with a bunch of toys and let him just play with the toys, and I would trust him to just stop a ball accidentally than I trust Onana. The guy is absolute garbage. Like, I'm not trying to be insulting. He's just so bad. Like, he's so bad. That goal in the final just, again, sums up everything wrong with his profile of goalkeeper. Like, what were you doing? I'm going to get mad. I got to stop. Oh, did he join Roma? Okay, good up. Big up, man. Stephanie Griffith says, everyone is raving about McTominay, but I couldn't help notice Lukaku was in that Napoli title-winning team too. Yeah, both of them scored too. So McTominay scored the winner because they ended up winning 2-0. But McTominay's goal was a beauty. Now, I did do that video the other day, and it's on the homepage of the channel. Were we wrong to sell McTominay? So you guys can go check that out. Again, I'm not telling you what to believe or not. I'm throwing all sorts of context into that question because I've seen a lot of United fans, like after this Scudetto and after McTominay was named Serie A like MVP of the season, basically saying we should never have told him, should never have sold him. And I'm like, well, at the time, you can't look now at that decision. You have to go back at where we were. Everything you have to forget the last season. You have to go back to where that decision was made. So go watch that video if you want to see my thoughts on it. Danny said, if I'm not working, I'll watch it. Hopefully Lacey, Camus, and Morehouse play. Yeah. Stephanie says, United loves sucking the life out of new transfer signings. So when this happened, we're all glazed over. Hopefully we're past the days where people come to this club and they fall off a cliff, because we've seen that for how long now. What do you guys say? I want to go back and look at this poll. So 60% of you think that Amorim was not harsh. 40% say yes. So okay, 25 votes. I'm going to end that there. So Richard says, I do not know why we're not giving VTech. Don't get me started on VTech. You can't even get me started on Kovar. I'm still mad we sold Kovar. Kovar had an excellent loan at Sparta Prague. He had an excellent season last year at Leverkusen. Like, if honestly, like the Ten Hag thing, like if Ten Hag wants Onana, I will take Kovar back and I will go with Kovar as our starting keeper next season. I'll do a straight swap. I don't care. Kovar is very good keeper. We should never have let him. We just don't seem to rate our like academy keepers at all. Like, we just don't. Joel Pereira, Kovar, Vitek. Vitek was having a very good season at BW Linz over in, I think it was Austria, right? And we just don't rate him. I don't get it, man. Bach says, I'd have a new goalkeeper, Garcia Chevalier, with Vitek. Vitek's not going to be second choice. I hear you, but he's having a very good season. Vitek could very easily go be first choice over in like the Belgian league or something, and he'd do just fine. Let him go to like Anderlecht or Antwerp or Ghent or something, and he'll be just fine. He could start week in, week out. Probably not for like a club like United quite yet, but he's better than Onana, but that's a low bar. Casper says, Herb De Bruyne might go to Napoli. Let Garnacho go there with him. Yeah, just have a reunion over in Napoli. You know, McTominay, Lukaku. Let everybody, maybe send Casemiro over there too. Hannibal will be facing United next season for Burnley as well. That's right. Hannibal. Forgot he went to Burnley. I always forget he went to Burnley. People forget that we paid a lot of money for Hannibal. He wasn't technically like an academy player the same way like Garnacho is not like an academy player. We paid a lot of money for Hannibal, like double digits when we brought him in the club. Vitek second choice at MUFC at 21. Maybe, but Gomez, I mean, Angel Gomez was like 16, 17 and wanted to go play first team football and left. And so it's all about the player, really. And there are always going to be those people who say you shouldn't be content with being second choice at United. Dean Henderson didn't want to be second choice kind of thing. So everybody's got a different opinion. I hear you. I like Vitek. I would probably give him a shot, but it is not my choice, right? So speaking of youngsters, though, while we're talking about academy players, we have been linked with another young Premier League Academy youngster. So we got Lucelu from Crystal Palace. We got Collier, remember Brighton. Aiden Heaven from Arsenal, who has been an absolute steal, by the way. But now Nathan Salt reports that United are leading the race to sign 16-year-old Southampton Academy center back Harley Emsden-James. So 16 years old, already got an England's under-15 call-up. He signed a scholarship with the Saints 2 years ago. Now it kind of seems that scholarship's ending. He's free to probably move on. So apparently we can get him for like $1 million, which I think is sort of like a development fee, kind of like the Aiden Heaven situation. So basically we compensate them for developing him. Basically, that's how that rolls. So Nathan Salt goes on to claim that we are first in the queue for that one. There is a bit of a Jason Wilcox connection there with the Southampton connection as well. He is a few years away from the first team, obviously being 16, but if he's anywhere near as promising as some of these other players, if he's anywhere near as promising as like Aiden Heaven was, who we've grabbed from Arsenal's academy, I like this a lot. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of under 15s European football. I don't watch any Southampton Academy football, so anyone's guess. I'm trying to remember if he played in any of the academy matches when I watched. I'll have to go back and look and see, but another youngster we're looking at. Sounds like I don't think we'll be buying any center backs this summer. I think we're going to be sticking with who we have. Take that what you will. I think that still someone on a free wouldn't have gone amiss. Egan Riley, Jonathan Tah, Olivier Bichali. There's a ton of them out there, but what are you going to do? Stephanie says, Billy Gilmore, ex-Chelsea, also instrumental for Napoli this season. Yeah, Conte knows what he likes. He knows what he wants from his players, and he plays the players in their best positions. That's about as much of a spoiler alert I'll give you for that McTominay. You got to go watch it if you want to know more. Casper says, do you think we need a new defender? Lindelof and Evans both gone now, experienced, but such as Jared Branthwaite. If Licha wasn't injured, I'd probably say no, but Licha's injury, the fact that he's not going to come back for a while, and even then he's going to have to get match fit again, I worry, because right now it's Mizraoui, Yoro, Maguire, De Ligt. De Ligt's been iffy with injuries. Heaven, so 5. Technically Fredrickson, 6. It depends. If it were up to me, I definitely would have brought in some sort of left-sided center back. I did that video when he went down injured for the ACL. I still would have gone for someone on a free, but it's not my money, not my choice. Maybe Amorim trusts and if we were still under Ten Hag, I might even say no because we only played with 2 center backs. But with 3 center backs, it's hard. I mean, we're having to run Mizraoui to the ground. There's a reason he's picking up hamstrings and stuff. So I think if there's an option to maybe rotate it. Maybe Shaw, but I mean, do we count Shaw? If we get an offer for Shaw, just take it at this point. So Box wants Ignacio. Yeah, wasn't the 35 million was the price for Ignacio last time I saw? Stephanie said, Angel Gomez on a free, any legs in his return. I haven't seen much. We were linked a long, long time ago, but I think those were tentative links like, hey, this player is leaving on a free. This is a former United player. Wouldn't it be cool if kind of a thing? And I think that's about the most you're going to get from the transfers. Spurs, I think, were the team I've seen linked with him heavily. Angel Gomez. Box says, Sporting have Ignacio on offer for 30. Yeah, that's a snip for Ignacio. Honestly, that would be difficult to turn down. If we get some cash, if we get a big influx of cash, that would be difficult to turn down. I definitely would be like this. That could wrap up our defensive stuff for the next several years with Ignacio, Yoro, De Ligt. That's the next 6-7 years just wrapped up all together with just that 3 people. Richard says, yeah, I think we do catch the problem is Branthwaite's. Yeah, I don't rate Branthwaite all that much personally, but we know Ineos do reportedly. At least we know Southgate does, and we know Ashwood does. But Rob says, good news from Ornstein. United and Wolves have agreed on the transfer. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit with that Romano stuff. I saw something from Ornstein here. Let me see what Ornstein had to say. Let me scroll back down. Let me just go find Ornstein. I'll put it on the screen for you guys. All right. I'm not going to open up I don't have a subscription to The Athletic because I'm cheap, but I'll put it up on the screen for you guys so you guys can see. United have now met terms, $62.5 million release clause in Mateusz Cunha contract at Wolverhampton Wanderers. They've given MUFC permission to conclude the deal, medical and complete transfer. So pretty much done and dusted. So first signing of the summer, first signing of Amorim's rebuild, looks like it will be Mateusz Cunha. All that sorted. Yeah, like I said at the start of the show, it sounds like it's going to get done. It's just not going to get done 100% on our terms. So it is what it is. But big up. Casper says, yeah, you may have a point. We might have to make do with the CBs have. We just haven't really been linked with a whole lot of center backs at all. And so I just it kind of makes, and we saw reports a couple of weeks back that we were actually going to be prioritizing the other end of the pitch. Now, I do think we need a keeper. I probably think we need at least a more experienced left wing back player, and midfielders. Obviously, we need Cunha's there for the legs. I would like to see someone a little bit more creative in one of those advanced roles, and then we do need a striker. So we do have a lot of positions, and then we still could strengthen in other areas too if we get rid of some players. Danny says it's probably Euro 2 for Onacio. Yeah. Box says, how much did Wolves pay for Cunha? $50 million. They paid a bit for him. It's not like he was a cheap signing. Wolves went on a little bit of a tear a few years back. They got a few players. So guys like Andre Gomez. Who's the other dude that they got from Fluminense? I always forget his name now. They got a couple players, Wolves. They got Skov Olsen. He's only been there a little bit. So Casper says, definitely cash in on Rashford, Anthony, Sancho. Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. We need to get these players out of here. We need to do a clear out. That's part of backing the manager, right? Not just about buying players. You got to get rid of the players that just don't suit the system, that are taking up spots, that are eating up the wage bill, because they're eating up the wage bill like Rashford's doing and Sancho's doing and Anthony's doing. That's literally almost $1 million a week in wages just for those three players. That's killing our ability to bring in other players potentially. So it's got to go. Danny says, wish we got Nori, proper wingback. Well, you remember I did list a left wingback in my my video the other day, one that just missed out on promotion. So that's about as much a spoiler you're going to get with there. So go check that one out as well. Let's end with some odds and ends here. So apparently Newcastle sporting director Paul Mitchell is leaving the club. You remember all that circus last spring heading into the summer when it came to us getting Dan Ashworth from Newcastle, all that back and forth. Remember, there were arbitrators involved and all that shit. Well, Paul Mitchell is who they brought in to replace Dan Ashworth. And now he's apparently leaving after just one season. And that's coming from Sky Sports. And Mitchell is quoted as saying, I'm leaving at a time that is right for me in the club, particularly with Darren Eales, someone who I have worked with so closely in my career. Moving on soon. The club is in great hands on and off the pitch and is a fantastic position to continue building. I haven't seen anything about where he might be going. He's long been regarded, Paul Mitchell, as one of the best sporting directors around. We need a sporting director. Just saying, maybe would you guys want Paul Mitchell to come to this club? A lot of sporting directors making some moves. You saw Andrea Berta go from Atletico to Arsenal. They did a big shakeup. Could this be somebody that we can maybe take a look at? Luis Campos looks like he's staying at PSG as well. Maybe Paul Mitchell goes to the Saudi League to help them start building. I don't know, but would you guys take someone like Paul Mitchell? We do really still need a director of football. We still don't have one. So I think we need someone really good in that department. Let me see here. Richard says, Sean, is the channel on Twitter? It is on Twitter. You can find the link in the video descriptions, or if you go to the main channel page, you will see a link on there. I'm not super active. Usually I'll just post the videos. Most of the time I'm responding to idiots. Not like idiot people. I'm like adding journalists and shit. I just tweeted the PGMOL and Aston Villa earlier today because there was somebody posted a clip of Altay Bayindir incident, really zoomed in, and the absolute crybabiness of Aston Villa writing a letter to the PG. How cringe can you get? he literally got his foot stepped on, like, or his hand stepped on. Like, I think that people weren't able to see that in real time, and they didn't really show a ton of angles of that. But his hand was literally stepped on by Morgan Rogers, and so the ref, it was a foul. Like, you can't step on the keeper's hand. It doesn't matter if he has the ball or not. You can't step on his hand, so it was a foul. So the wins, though, like, to go in and write a letter to the PGMO, like, complaining that the ref's inexperienced, it doesn't matter if you're inexperienced. There's the laws of the game are what they are. The ref blew the whistle, and it was a foul. Like, how many times, like, do I need to list more reasons why the goal didn't stand? But yes, we are on Twitter, all that to say. Sometimes I'll tweet if I'm watching a match, but that's about it. I'm not like a super arguey kind of arguey. That's not a word. Oh, it's fine. Danny says, yeah, that Sheffield lad similar to Dorgu. We need best in class in that position. So important for the system. I just think that Dorgu's 20, young. Amas, 17, young. Diego Leon, who will be joining us next month, 18, young. Do I trust a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old as our left-sided options in a, like you say, a very important position in this system? Dorgu's got the physicality, he's got the fight, and his crossing did look better against Villa, but it's too little too late. I'm not going to go too hard on Dorgu because he just joined in January, and he is just 20 years old, but that's my point. If there is an option out there, maybe someone who's experienced, who maybe is cheap, maybe even free, maybe someone like a Sheffield United player who missed out on promotion, that wouldn't go amiss in my opinion. But Kai, big up Kai. Hope you're doing well. I would sell Bruno. We need the money. We definitely need the money. I beggars wonders, I'm worried that we won't get the changes needed next season. Well, it's a very important summer. We have to get it perfect. We have to do well, and it could really make or break. Obviously, we'll do an expectation / prediction video once the transfer window is pretty much wrapped up. We do have the keep sell video that is going to be next Tuesday, so a week from today. I'm going to be joined by hopefully a couple guests, and then we'll be doing a keep sell. So we'll go through the squad, we'll look at the players one by one, and we'll decide who stays, who goes, maybe who gets a loan, maybe who gets another year. You guys let me know what kind of options you'd like to put on that show, but come back for that one. And then I will do, what was the other video I said we were going to do? I can't remember now. You guys have to remind me what I said the other day. I texted it. Let me make sure so you guys know what to look out for. Because I texted the people that are going to be joining me. Who did I say? Player ratings. That's the other one. We're going to do a player rating video as well. So keep an eye out for that one too, looking back on this last season. Richard says only give it. Yeah, awesome. I appreciate that. I'm glad to see everybody jumping in, everybody get involved. So many new faces today. It's been a blast. Seeing the channel grow has been amazing. But it's all because of you guys. I'm just throwing out the topics and I'm letting you guys kind of run with it. Box says Villa crying. I can't, like, Unai Emery is an absolute disgrace. Egg Bangalore. I mean, is Egg Bangalore been anything but a big baby? We need the Broden Glazers gone. Fear they'll be here for a few more years. Yeah, it's the Glazers need to go. Obviously, I've got the logo up here. If you look on the channel store, there's a couple of green and gold design options on there for different things, all to represent Glazers out. But big up. Did I just see Lionhearts? Big up Lionhearts. Good to see you, man. Better late than never. We're about ready to wrap up here, but good to see you, man. Always a pleasure. Box says Dorgu will be a good left wing backup at the moment. Yes. And I think just like Højlund, maybe even Garnacho, good backup right now. But again, does that mean just another position we have to strengthen again in the summer? I don't know. Who knows? With a preseason, who knows? Amorim has still not had a preseason at all with this squad. So that could be a difference. Dan says, yeah, we're overplaying him. It's going to kill his development. He gave himself a little break to start by getting suspended, which I still don't think was a red, but whatever, moot point now. But it is what it is. Drops is going to be some all-time low scores. Yeah, I almost was like, because you guys know I'm not doing the award show anymore because what's the point? But I almost was like, I go back and forth in the player rating because I'm like, is anybody even going to be anywhere above an F? Because, like, seriously. It's so bad. DJ, amazing show. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you guys. Like, this is your show. You guys make it what it is. I just throw out the comments, man, and let it go. When am I live next? So So for people who are new to the channel, so obviously I usually would do a match preview and a match reaction. I didn't do one for the Villa match because I couldn't care less. So during the season, it's usually, you can definitely look out for a preview, definitely look out for a match reaction. Every now and then, if I have the time, I'll do a live stream. I've done Academy live streams. I've done some Champions League live streams. I've done some Premier League live streams, some watch-alongs, I should say. So every now and then I'll do those. And then periodically it'll be like today, news shows, especially in the summer with the transfer window in full gear. So if there's news to talk about, I will usually pop up. I don't like to talk about nothing. I don't like to rehash the same rumor 3 times a day just to get views. It's not really my thing. Not trying to toot my own horn. I respect you guys too much to keep talking about the same thing over and over again. So if there's stuff to talk about, I will talk about. I do like to do other creative stuff. So we've got the scouting reports. Season 1 of What If was a couple months ago. Season 2 of What If will pop up probably next week to start. And that's just me. Each episode is just imagining a big point in United's history and imagining what if, basically, what if things had gone differently, what might have happened. So had a little fun with that. And then you get the random stuff like the McTominay stuff. I've done a lot of videos on like mentality in the squad. What does Cunha bring to the squad? Things like that. I did that video last month on what United can learn from Wrexham and things like that. So every now and then you get like those exclusives that are unique and stuff. So keep a lookout for that kind of stuff. And like Danny says, to know when those are going live, hit the notification bell. Usually I will post it the night before. Today was a little late notice because I wasn't necessarily planning on going live, but some more news happened. So usually I'll know the night before, hit the notification bell, and you will get noticed. Certain days of the week are hard for me, but it is what it is. This isn't my job. Like I said, mental health professional. So I've got clients and stuff. My wife and I own our practice. So owning the business does require a certain level of attention on my end on a semi-regular basis because got to make sure people get paid and stuff. So it is what it is. But obviously, I love doing this. And then I've got class too. So like Thursday, I've got class. So Thursday might be hard for me. For those of you who've been here for a while, I'm doing a football psychology course, basically like a master's course for a year with the PFA. So that's been a blast so far. So trying to stay busy, but you guys take it easy. Please hit that like button for me. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. As Danny said, yes, love to have everyone in. Go check out memberships to learn how you can get more involved in the content on the channel. If you want United gear, if you want any gear, you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, there is a link in the description to get $5 off at GoGoalShop. To use that code when you register, you get $5 off. And check the UVE store for sweet gear like the one I'm wearing today. I think Danny's picked up a shirt. Dylan, who's been on the channel, he's picked up a shirt. Excellent designs out there. Men's, women's clothes, hoodies, t-shirts. There's even some toddler stuff, but go check it out. I'm going to let you guys get going because it has been a long video, but I love it. Keep a lookout. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. And when there's news, I will be here. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.